we're going to start chapter 3, section 1. We'll do some practice with this here today. Oh, I have my board turned on. We're using our smartboard to trace things from home cooking, so some of the stuff in the hallway. All right. So we're going to talk about parallel lines today, which we've talked about before. But parallel lines are going to be important because of the fact that we can do a whole lot with them. So sorry, let me just grab my note sheets here. So tell me what you guys know about parallel lines. What do you know about parallel lines? Yeah, go ahead, Peyton.
Two lines that go on forever, they're parallel.
So what does the parallel part mean? Like what makes sense?
They're either over each other.
Okay.
One is over.
Yeah.
One on top.
Or they could be this way, right? What else do we know about them? Will, do you want to help them out? Anything you want to add to that? Yeah. They never touch. That's probably the biggest thing. And I think that's what you're picturing when you say that. So they're lines that go on forever that will never intersect. So parallel lines are lines that never intersect. So even if I could extend the lines forever off the page, just because they don't intersect on my page, if they look like they're going to intersect, we want to make sure that we don't consider them to be parallel. Now you cannot assume parallel lines. So you cannot assume parallel lines. Just because lines look parallel, we can't assume they're parallel unless they tell us something about it. I think it's like coincidence that people, like when they made the word parallel, there's parallel lines in the word. Deep thoughts on a Monday. So what they're going to do, so these lines look parallel to me, but they have to tell me something so that I know that they're parallel. So they're going to have to show some sort of marks to tell me that. So the ways we can know something are parallel is they'll use little marks that look like little arrows kind of in the middle. They could be little triangles. So they can be marked with little arrows or, again, little triangles. As soon as they have those marks, we can assume they're parallel. Or they can give us the information. And so JK, and we use two straight up and down lines, parallel to LM. Now, obviously, that kind of looks like an 11, but in this context, hopefully you know that would mean parallel versus JK, 11, LM. So given these little marks, or given the fact that they tell us that they're parallel, then we can know that they are parallel. So I can't just say, because I drew two lines, are those parallel? I have to have more information than just because they look that way. The next one is called skew lines, and they're kind of complete opposite, or like, not complete opposite, I guess. Complete opposite would mean they touch. So skew lines are something that you probably don't think about very often. You might hear the words askew, that's kind of things are going all kind of crazy. So skew lines don't intersect, which makes them sound like they're parallel. They're not. They don't intersect, but the reason they don't intersect is because they're not in the same plane. So this is kind of hard to visualize. So skew and parallel are not the same things not the same thing. Skew is not equal to parallel. Now, the lines that are drawn here, like L and M, are meant to be skew. So they're on two different planes. They're not parallel to one another, kind of go in different directions. I think the easiest way to think about skew is maybe like thinking about a classroom. So like let's say we have a little, to not creep us out, how about an ant, because a mouse would be scarier, maybe give you the heebie-jeebies. So something crawling across the top, like, of our classroom. Now, if there was something crawling across the bottom, those would be parallel. They're going the same direction, they're in the same plane. But skew would be something crawling across the top, and then something crawling across this bottom corner over here. So they'll never run into each other, nor are they really moving in the same direction. So let me show you guys that another way, like a little bit smaller scale. So again, skew, so if I grab my Kleenex box here, so if I have a little ant crawling across this top front, and then down like this bottom side over here. So they'll never run into each other, but they're also not even on the same plane. So they're like on a different level altogether. Kind of confusing. It'd probably be the way I want like my airplane. So if you think of it that way, plane, airplane, but like if I was flying in the air, I'd probably not prefer to be flying like right next to another plane. I would rather that our planes were going completely skew from one another, that we're in different planes all together, like surfaces, and then we're not moving right next to each other. I prefer not to be like, look out my airplane window and see like a plane right next to me. So that is skew. So I'm gonna kind of draw that just another way so you guys can see it. You know, if you want to draw it, you can. I'm gonna tell you guys, skew is not gonna come up a ton in what we're gonna do because it's really hard to visualize, but it's still a concept we wanna know. So like here, and then here would be skew. So again, like the top front of the Kleenex box and the bottom side. So if this was L and M are skew, just like they are over there. Last thing on this side, I think pretty obvious, parallel planes are planes that never intersect. So like the front wall and the back wall of our classroom are parallel planes. Like if those got extended forever, they should never run into each other. So planes that never intersect. So like plane A and plane B are parallel. So the top of a box and the bottom of the box, the front of the classroom, the back of the classroom. They never intersect. Keeping their social distance. All right, so when you guys are ready, you guys flip the page. The next line is called a transversal, and it's a word, again, we don't use very often in other places, so it's a hard word to just get used to. So it's a line that intersects with two or more lines with two or more intersections. So I'll write that down and then I'll explain it better. Transversal. And I'll again show you guys an example and then a non-example. So we talked about that before. So our transversal, we're going to call that line T. You don't always have to call it that, but I'm just going to call it T in this case. So for example here, if I have lines A and B, this would be our transversal. It crosses these two lines at two or more places. So there's two different intersections here that T crosses those two lines. Now A would not be a transversal because it only crosses one line. So the fact that T crosses two or more lines at two or more places would be considered a transversal. Where this one's not a transversal because I have two lines, but this line intersects them at only one place. So this would not be an example of a transversal. And I'll draw one more picture similar to this one, but slightly different. So if we have Q and R, Q and R, and then I want my line T is my transversal. So T in this case would be a transversal because it has two intersections. Now technically Q and R are also transversals, but we don't have to get into that right now. So T would be a transversal. And I apologize, our notes are going to kind of go all the way through and then we'll have a complete break at the end because we kind of need to get all these vocab words down. So we'll get all the notes done and then we'll do a Kahoot and then you guys will have time for homework. So the drawing down here, we have to do a whole bunch of vocab, and I apologize because I feel like we had a ton of room for notes, and now it's going to kind of get jammed a little bit. So I'm sorry if you're a big writer, so I kind of have to fit a lot of stuff in this information or in these little spots. So in this drawing, I have the interior angles labeled and the exterior. So what they have, where that comes from, is T is our transversal, and in this case, Q and R are kind of like defining where our inside would be. So the inside between the two lines that aren't the transversal would be considered the interior. The T is the transversal, so the ones outside of that space is called the exterior. So the interior angles are all the ones on the inside here between the two lines that are not the transversal. So the interior is between the two lines crossed by T. So those would be all the angles on the interior. So 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the interior angles. And that's not going to seem important at all right now, but getting this idea down is going to be really useful to move forward. Then the exterior, obviously the ones on the outside. So 1, 2, 7, and 8. All right, these next 4 vocabulary words are what the kind of the meat of our lesson is today. So really getting this down well, and that's what my Kahoot's going to ask you guys about, is looking for these different types of angles. So alternate interior angles, let's kind of break that word down. The word alternate means on opposite or alternating sides. So like I pick someone from this side of the room, then this side of the room, we kind of alternate sides. So opposite sides of the transversal, and then it's on the exterior. So alternate exterior angles, they're on like the opposite side of the transversal. That's you. So opposite sides of the transversal, but also the opposite intersection. So if I'm starting with an alternate interior angle, so exterior angle is 1. Someone give me the alternate exterior angle with angle 1. Anyone see it? See how we can Ellie? What's that? 5 is also in interior. So we want alternate, so we're actually gonna go, it's gonna be 7, sorry, I'm not clear on that. So let's think about this for a second. So 1 and 7, so maybe I have to describe it a little bit better. Opposite sides of the transversal, and then I guess the opposite intersection. Opposite intersection. And then they are on the exterior, so they both have to be in like that blue part. So 1 and 7. And there's one more pair. Does anyone see the other pair that would be there then? So let's see the other alternate exterior angle, 8 and 2. All right, actually, just before I move on to another one, let's why don't you guys grab, so why don't you guys go first, these 2 rows, why don't you guys grab whiteboards quickly, and markers. There should be Kleenex back there too if you want an eraser. I just kind of want to make sure we're getting it and not like moving on before you're still lost. All right, if you 2 rows want to go. And then if you last 2 rows want to go. Alright, so this drawing, I'm going to kind of keep referring back to it. So you just kind of have your whiteboards handy for like the next 4 vocabulary words as we go through these. Alright, first of all, which one's the transversal? Which line out of these 3 lines would be our transversal? Would be our transversal, yeah. Figure out which, you can write it down on your board, which one's the transversal. Yeah, I know, my eye looks like a J star, yes.
No,
Yeah.
Wait, that's an I?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a cursive eye, like italicized, yes, yes.
It's a backwards J.
Yeah. It's a backwards J.
Yes,
Yes. Okay,
that's not.
so eyes are transversal, okay? So that's the line crossing it. So which angles are on the interior? Which angles, so this, all the angles that would be on the interior of this drawing. Which ones are on the interior? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So on the interior, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to double check that we're all kind of getting the vocabulary, yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
yes. So the interior, you already tried to guess my next question.
I'm not guessing,
Mhm.
I just know.
Because apparently I'm, yes, a creature of habit. So the interior angles, yep, are the ones between the two lines that aren't the transversals. So that would be, these are the two lines that aren't the transversal. Now, again, nothing in this drawing yet is parallel. We're gonna get into parallel in the next couple of days with this, but then my other question, which some of you guys already wrote down, what would be the exterior angles then? Yep, good work. Yes, yes. At first I forgot I saw known this and I was like, this is what I was talking about. Yes, and then I realized she was answering the next question. Yes, 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 yep. So the exterior, yep,
Well,
yeah, you guys got it. Yeah, so the exterior one's out here. So now the question is, I want a pair of alternate exterior angles. That's the vocab word we just learned. So a pair, you're looking for a pair, so two of alternate exterior angles. Yep, and just give me one of them, it's fine. Or one set of pairs. Nope. Yes, 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 yep, yep, yes, yes, yep, yep. So I know this is confusing. So again, this is why I wanted you guys to grab whiteboards. So alternate exterior, first of all, means they're on the outside. So we're already talking about only these four. But alternate, they have to be basically as opposite from one another as possible. So either 6 and 2 or 5 and 1 are alternate exterior angles. Does that make sense? So they're completely opposite. And maybe my definition isn't really well explained. So that's why I wanted to stop for a minute and make sure we're okay with it. So that would be 6 and 2, and then 5 and 1. All right, so don't put your boards completely away. Flip back to your notes. Let's actually go down. The next one that's probably most easy to learn once you've learned that one is alternate interior angles. So again, alternate, but now it's saying interior angles. So kind of the same rule as up here, opposite sides of the transversal, opposite intersection. But now this time you're on the interior. So what would be some alternate interior angles here? Alternate interior, so opposite intersection, opposite side of the transversal, yeah. 5 and 3, yeah. So 5 and 3, so here and here. Someone have another pair for me? Yeah, Will?
4 and 6.
4 and 6, very good. So 4 and 6. So 5 and 3. 4 and 6, those are our two pairs, and they have to go together that way, so they have to be on alternate sides as well. All right. The next one is consecutive interior angles. So if alternate is completely on the opposite side, consecutive means right in a row. So consecutive interior angles means basically next to each other, or I guess like the same side of the transversal. So consecutive is the same side of the transversal. But I guess the opposite intersection, I don't know if that. And again, they should be interior angles. So same side of the transversal, opposite intersection. So what do you think? Anyone think they got it? So they have to be on the interior. Well,
Angles 5 and angles 4.
yeah, so 4 and 5 are consecutive interior angles. So they're on the same side of the transversal, but on the inside, they're on the opposite intersection. So 4 and 5. And then what's the other pair? Yeah, 3 and 6. All right, before we go to corresponding, I want you guys to go back to your whiteboards for a second. We're gonna go back to that same drawing. I'm gonna erase a little bit. So I need a pair of alternate interior angles here. So I want a pair of alternate interior angles. No. I don't know if your handwriting's a little rough, but yes, I think you got it. Yeah. That first number was questionable. Yes, you're good. Yeah, you guys are good. I think you're on exterior. Yep, you gave me both pairs, very good. Oh no, I don't think they go together the way you have them. So careful with the way you have them organized. Yep. No. Yes. Yes. I know you guys, I know this is tough. Yes, that's why we're taking the time to do it now versus when you get to homework. Yeah.
Alternate two. Oh, I forget.
You missed the large writing up here. Yeah. Okay. Oh, did I say wrong for you? I apologize. I shouldn't have. I don't. Maybe I was looking at something else. Sorry. I apologize. So 4 and 8 should be okay. Sorry if I said no. As me looking fast isn't good. So 4 and 8, alternate intersections. Alternate sides of the transversal on the interior. 3 and 7 would also be okay. So either pair, but they have to be across from each other. Alternate means across, or like opposite. Right, let me go. What's up?
I think the
What?
cardboard itself. Can undo.
I was trying to undo it. I wanted to undo it.
It wasn't.
It wasn't doing it. Again, 2 pairs of consecutive interior angles. I hope that I won't say no to you if you're right. You are good, sorry. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yes. Yeah. See the difference? So consecutive interior angles are on the same side of the transversal, but on different intersections. So 4 and 3, or 7 and 8. Okay? All right, our last one, for whatever reason, this one's a confusing one for people to visualize. Again, I just don't know if it's just so new to you that you're not comfortable with the words that they use, or the words that I choose to use to explain it. So corresponding means they go together. So I'm going to tell you guys they're in the same position, but in a different intersection. So same position, but a different intersection. talking about Allie sitting in the upper left corner of my classroom, and then I would talk about somebody else sitting in their second hour, third hour, fourth hour, whatever, like that'd be the corresponding position. You're in the same spot. Or if from one inning to the next in a baseball game, we're switching who plays in that position, who's playing second base at that same spot. So, same position, different intersection. So if I'm talking about angle 1, look at the other intersection. What angle is in the same position as angle 1? So this is what, okay, so think about it this way. Maybe I'm not, again, might not be explaining it very well. Upper left corner of this intersection, right? Or like the northwest corner of that intersection. Where is the northwest corner down here? Yep, it's 5. So the upper left corner there. So the same position, but a different intersection. So almost think of it as like a compass or like the hands on a clock, like we're looking at 2 different sections of it, upper left, upper left. So 1 and 5. Corresponding angles, like I said, these are the toughest ones. All right. So what would be the corresponding angle to angle 2? So the upper right intersection would be
Angle 6.
angle 6. Angle 6 would be its corresponding position, upper like right corner. Someone give me another pair of them. What's another pair of corresponding? Yeah. 7 and 3. And then obviously that leaves 4 and 8 to go together. Right? I know that's confusing, and like I say, every year I feel like I try to explain it a different way, and still, like the first time I explain it, it's kind of wonky and weird. So that takes us back to our drawing here. Where are our corresponding angles? Again, I just need a pair of them. So there's like 4 different options. I might take a minute to have to check it with you. So you're good. You are good. Yep. Yep. Yes, Julia. Yeah, you got it. Yep. Yep. Oh, you listed them all. Look at you. Yeah, once you see them, they're probably pretty straightforward. Yeah, it's kind of almost hard to unsee them. Yep. Yep. Yeah, you guys are good. All right, is that feeling a little, I know, like I just said, I know when I explain these the first time, it's like a whole new language, and so we have to really, if you're not getting it right away, it's okay. Like that's why we're taking the time to practice. Why don't you guys take turns, so maybe start with like this row, take turns putting the marker board back, don't have too many people back there at once. I want to get our Kahoot ready, so just give me a minute here. So like go a row at a time, starting like take this row over there.
Bro. We just surviving, bro. How dare they?
The next row can go in.
This corner? Yeah.
We surviving, bro. Yeah, I know I'm scared. This part just makes me scared.
This quarter? This semester. This semester. This semester.
It's such scary. It just scares me. It's just breaking moods.
Sorry, I'm just finishing up a couple of. Get up here.
That's so.
The Kahoot layout has changed. Keep us on our toes.
I just see.
One time, zero sign. Uh-oh. Really?
No, I'm not looking. We're lucky to have her. All right, is everybody in? So 1 and 8, so opposite intersections, but different sides of the transversal. One is in the upper left, 8's in the lower right, so that would be corresponding. Yeah.
I'm just all.
Right. And it's hasn't ever had. Oh, he's in third, yeah. Right. Yeah. All right, so that one got sneaky in there. Vertical angles, remember, are completely across from each other. I know that wasn't a vocab word we used today, but it's one we've been using. Like this next one's not a math question.
Oh. COVID. COVID, bro. Why? I've seen this once.
So do you guys remember what congruent means? Congruent means what? Equal. Supplementary means they add to 180. So since those are across from each other, they'd be congruent. Yes. Yes. So those are a linear pair, so they would add to 180. What do you know about lines A and B? That's these two right here. So they're parallel because of those little arrows there that they show us. So A and B there are parallel.
How
This is what lead changes. A and C, so C is this one here. A. Oh, we need notes. You want the finished ones right away then? Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. Okay, so this one, you guys, a little bit of a trick question here. I think you want it to be something every time. So here's A, here's C. Like if I just drew those two lines over here, I hope that you wouldn't think those are perpendicular. So they're not skew though, because they also intersect, and they're in the same plane. Big lead change there. A and D. D is over here, A is there. So yep, they're perpendicular because they have the little little corner there that tells us they're perpendicular. And then finally, not a math question. I hope that the one doesn't come.
I hope it does.
Well, I don't want to know that.
Schools in Wisconsin be like 2 hours. That'd be fun.
We do have, you guys actually have 2 days off.
Next week.
No, that's like, well, it's October 15th, which is not October yet, so it's more than 15. We have like meetings on a Thursday and then Fridays is the fall break, so.
That is true, they did that. That's stupid. That happened like maybe 5 years ago.
Alright, so Nolan, Evelyn, Kansas, Lena, and Tori, you guys want to come grab?
No, I remember they did, it was like 30 degrees out and like 3 just be like, okay, it's snow day now.
Okay, so let me open up, your report for you guys, you know, kind of a big chunk of time,
Hey, I like it.
like big chunk of time. Reminder guys, those of you guys from missing work, I might end up like kind of calling you guys up to make sure you guys know that I sent missing for you. Should be published now. So that pre-231 odds. Here's the book.